12th, Governor DeWine put all schools on a 3-week break until Friday, April 3rd. And now, as expected, the time has been extended. Schools are now closed through April. And here to help with some online support for parents and kids is Jeff Turwin, head of schools for Wellington. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi there. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Let's dive right on into this here. How can parents actually support online learning from home?
Well, I think that the first thing to understand is this is a challenge we're all feeling, and to try and bring an optimistic attitude to that is critical. With that, then, as you get down to the mechanics of it, think about a schedule first. Obviously, schedules are really important in school, and so starting to look at your family schedule in a way that you can define and sort of chunk out different times that are designated for different activities. As you do that, you can work with the rhythm of your own family. I think sometimes we feel like there's a right answer to that. But what works best for your family? You'll have some synchronized time with school where the students will need to be online at a certain time. But otherwise, there'll be a lot of work that can be done outside of those designated times. And so where does that fit best with your family? The other piece you can do is think about defining spaces in your home. We do that at school as well. So at Wellington, we have a commons area where the students can engage with a little more informal work, and there might be some conversation. So that's one space. In our learning center, the students that go in there, they know they're going to go in there to do some work. So in your homes, can you start to define sort of expectations in different spaces? That'll really help students know if I'm moving into this space, I'm getting in the mindset to do some work. And then finally, try and see this as an opportunity. Yes, it's a challenge, but is there a new way that you can work and connect as a family to take on some new challenges together? Maybe grab a new hobby or learn really deeply about a subject. I joked with our community that I can currently juggle 3 balls, and I'm taking on the challenge to add that 4th ball. And we've used that 4th ball idea as a willingness to step into this new environment and be our best and learn some new things.
How have teachers been preparing at Wellington to teach online, and what are some of the ways content will be delivered to your students?
Well, the first thing I think that we all took a step back, and as this situation was developing, we said a longer term issue. So thinking more as a marathon, not a sprint. So avoiding jumping right in to just push some things out to get info in students' hands. Instead, we want to take a really careful approach and think about community first, evaluating those connections and helping students understand that our community just looks different now. So the academics are obviously so important. It's the clubs that they're so interested to stay involved in, keeping those things steady. And then really looking at what we can learn from other schools. Schools have been doing this on the West Coast, for example, for a few weeks. So what lessons can we take from them about the most effective way to roll out that content? So we've been taking a really careful look and then creating a resource page for our teachers and also pushing out a resource page for families.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mr. Jeff, do you have any other final recommendations to parents when it comes to supporting their child's learning during this trying time? I
think the term we use at Wellington is this idea of unflappable optimism. And this is a serious situation, but it's a situation that will have an end. And we will get back to the regular work of doing school, and our days will look a little typical. Perhaps this has enlightened our interest and awareness of how important these relationships and gatherings and friends and family are to us. So putting an approach that we think about with I taught a class called the Science of Happiness, where we help students understand that some of your general level of happiness is linked to your genetics, right? You're wired a certain way. But I think too often we give too much credit to the circumstances of our lives that define our happiness, where that's really only about 10% of your happiness is defined by the circumstances around you. You have control of about 40%. So you have the ability to look at a situation and say, how can we make the best of it? What kinds of new things might we learn? Where can I dive deep into a new project and take on learning in a whole new way? And so I think that baseline of optimism around the situation and finding new opportunities is probably the most critical thing for families to keep in mind at this time.
Mr. Jeff Turwin, some really great advice coming from you there. We definitely appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much.
And the Wellington School is a private college prep school from pre-kindergarten through 12th grade. For more information, just head over to wellington.org.